In this Watch It video, we are going to be looking at how to draw the shape of a circle. With Pygame, you are going to be finding a single point and then finding the radius of the circle that you'd like to create and then drawing that circle around the single point. So let's look right here. We've got our pygame.draw.circle. Target, that's our screen. We put our screen here. RGB, that's the color we want to use. X and Y is the point that we want to draw around, and rad is our radius. So let's look at how that looks in Python. What I would like you to do is go ahead and open your Pygame window that we created earlier. Let's find our Pygame window. And now we can make our code look like the code on the left. So we have our import Pygame and sys, we have our Pygame init, and then we have screen equals pygame.display.set_mode. And right here we have 640 by 480, so we're going to change our code to be 640 by 480. Then we have white equals the color white, all the code for that, screen fill white, and now we're going to add some colors in here. So we're going to put a comment for defining colors, and the first color we need to define is green. So we have no red, all green, and no blue. Then we're going to define red, which would be all red, no green, and no blue. Define our blue. And blue is going to be no red, no green, and all blue. Now we're going to define a point, a point on the screen, and we want it to be at x 50, y 50. And I would suggest just putting in a comment above that, just so you know what you're doing right here. Alright, so then our second point that we're going to define is P2, and that's going to be equal to 150 by 100. Alright, so now we need to define what we want to draw onto the screen. So we're going to say pygame.draw circle. Okay, so we know we're drawing to the circle. Our target is our screen. We're going to use our green color. We're going to say 0.1 for this one. We're going to say we want a radius of 15, and we're going to put in that we want a thickness of 2. Now we're going to do a pygame.draw.rect, and what we're going to do is we're going to see how that looks when it has the same exact coordinates as a rectangle, and putting that in there. So we're going to say screen, which is our target. We're going to use blue, and then we want our coordinates to be 50, 50. We want 15 by 15 is its width and height. Now I'm going to put in pygame.draw.circle. We're using the screen again. This time we're using red as our color. We're going to use P2 as our location, our X and our Y. And this time we're going to use our radius as 30. Now I'm going to come down and I'm going to say pygame. Notice that I have a space right here. Pygame.draw.rect. And I'm going to say screen green. My location is 150, 100. I want my width to be 30 and my height to be 30, which is the same as my radius. Close all of my parentheses. I have Pygame display update, and then of course while true is in there, we're going to do a file, save as, and I want you to save this as Pygame circles. So Pygame circles. Now you're going to run it, and when it runs, oh, I'm going to pull this right here. So let's look at this. So we drew a green circle, okay, green circle, and we wanted its starting point, which is that corner right there, we wanted that at 50-50. And we wanted its radius to be 15, which is the same as the width of the square. So it took that point, which is the same starting point as the rectangle, and it drew a circle all the way around. And the rectangle that we drew at the same exact location, 50-50, with a width of 15 and a height of 15, if you notice, the circle is within, the square is within the circle, okay? Now if we look at the next one, we did this one with a fill of the red, and we drew the circle at 150, 100, which is that corner of our rectangle, and we drew a circle around the radius of 30. So the square or rectangle that we're looking at is a 30 by 30, and it is a complete, it's like a chunk of that pie has been taken out, okay? So this is how you would draw circles onto the screen. It kind of gives you like a visual, with the squares in here, it gives you like a visual of what that would look like if you were to draw a rectangle at that spot. So you can kind of see that it's drawing it around that point. If you have any questions, please let me know. Go ahead and answer the check for understanding and move on to our next section.